WSTX 970 AM. I am one of your hosts here this evening, Norman John Baptiste, also known as Bapo. With me this evening, we have so far.
Good night, listening audience. It's your girl and love in the house. Happy Friday to everybody. I hope you guys are having a lovely Friday.
And of course, we're expecting some more to join us as the time unfolds. I know that Shanice is just about ready to bust in on the scene, and I'm looking forward to having her this evening because I want to give her a shout out because I understand that good things have been happening with her.
This week.
Yeah, and so we want to touch upon that. Um, I understand that there are others who may be on their way, but in the interest of making the best of time allotted to us, we're getting started, right, Mandy?
We are.
All right. I want to, before we get into unpacking all of the stuff we want to get into this evening, I want to again remind folks out there connected to us viewing this program. I want you to understand that the program choice is about getting my young people in particular, but not to the exclusion of anyone. But like I say, in particular, young people, getting them to make wise choices, to decide upon courses of action to take from more so an objective point of view as opposed to a subjective point of view. And this program is about getting young people to formulate a vision and a mission statement to understand their purpose in life. And if I may take the license to say this, as being the senior host here in this program this evening, I want to again remind folks that, we're not here by chance. It's not an accidental thing that we are here on planet Earth on this journey. I believe fully that there is a higher power, and we ought to lean not onto our own understanding, but onto the directives, the wisdom of the higher power. Um, Generally, we refer to the higher power as the Creator Almighty, God Almighty. In some circles, we do have names ascribed to the higher power. From the Jewish and Christian tradition, we often refer to the higher power as El Shaddai, El Elyon, El Olam, Elohim of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. And there were those who used the personal name Yahweh, Yahweh, Jehovah. And of course, these last three names that I just mentioned, they stand for the expression I am that I am, or I will be what I will be. Eye, Asher, Eye, in the Hebrew language. And so, not that I'm trying to proselytize here or to impose my values upon anyone, but just because there is some knowledge I've come across that I think can be beneficial to us. And so I share. I want to share something here in light of a lot of things that have been happening in the territory and in other circles, if I may. Somebody shared something with me in an email, and I want to share this with you because it was so encouraging to me. It was so enlightening, in a sense, that I thought I would like to share this with audience this evening. And here it is. Heaven is my supply chain. Poverty is not my permanent address. Lack is not my identity. I am a child of a king whose resources never run out. I renounce the spirit of poverty. I break every generational mindset of lack. I declare that abundance flows to me and through me. My needs are met, my vision is funded, and my future is secure in Christ. The cycle of not enough ends with me, and overflow begins with me in the name of Jesus Christ. And I thought this timely and appropriate when I came across that because it was just recently, as I contemplated a life of prayer. And it's not to say that I'm only now getting into a life of prayer. Prayer has been a staple in my life. There are times of drought, if I may. There are times when you want to pray. There is a desire, but the ability isn't there. And then there are other times when you spend a considerable amount of time in prayer. But one of the things I came to learn about life is that we ought to express gratitude, to be thankful for the small things and the big things, to not take anything for granted. And so, as I came to know of the importance of gratitude, even in terms of reciting the 23rd Psalm, I give thanks to the Lord. I thank the Lord. I thank El Elyon. I thank the sovereign ruler of the universe that he is my shepherd. I do not lack any good thing, that he makes me to dwell in a place of safety. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside waters that are still. He restores my soul. He prepares before me a table of excellence, a table of resources in the very presence of mine enemies. And that I can say, thanks be to him, that though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, because he is with me, and his rod and his staff, they comfort me. That he anoints my head with oil, such that my cup runs over. And again I say, thank you, Lord. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, because you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And that I can say that I have the faith and the confidence that I will dwell in your house, Most High, forever. And so, folks, I have embraced the spirit of gratitude, to be thankful for life, to thank the Creator Most High for the sun, for the moon, for the stars, to thank him for the blessings of the air that I breathe, to thank him for the blessings of the waters, and to thank him for the blessings of the earth. You got to give thanks. Don't take anything for granted. And so I hope that I can impress upon those of you who follow us on this program to grasp the significance of living life graciously, to give thanks. And even when I contemplate on the Lord's Prayer where it says, lead us not into temptation, I try to avoid saying that, because I don't want to think that the Creator leads me into temptation. But I thank him for giving me the wherewithal whereby I can say no to temptation and resist the instigations of the tempter, if I may use that expression. And so I hope, folks, you can see that point of view that I share with you. I know, Mandy, you're a person of prayer, you're a person of faith, and I don't know if you have any perspective to share in terms of what I have just shared this evening.
Not right now.
Look right now. All right. The other thing, and I see Shanice, you're here with us. Are you hearing us?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. First of all, before you say anything, Shanice, let me allow you to say good evening to the folks who have connected with us. Go ahead.
Hello, good night, everyone. I'm Shanice here, joining from the mainland, Atlanta.
All right. And Shanice, I want to take this time to congratulate you on your recent achievement. You've certainly, you know, how should
Thank
I put
you.
it, scored another point on the ladder of upliftment, the ladder of success. And we'll talk a little about success, what success means to us individually and collectively. We'll talk about that this evening. But I want to just remind you that there is a saying. You know, the Bible is my favorite book, but I've read a little bit from Shakespeare and other writers, and there is this thing that has always remained with me: that the heights that great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upwards in the night. So that sometimes we think that, success comes sort of like, in overnight waves of opportunity, that we just simply sit back and allow the wave to just carry us. But that's not the case. We have to put in time and effort,
Right.
to put in blood, sweat, and tears in order
Right.
to achieve, to accomplish. And so, congratulations to you. I understand that you have just received your master's degree in education and human development, sorry, from the University of Georgia. Am I right?
From the from Augusta University. But yes, thank you so much.
Augusta University. All right. Well, congratulations. I
Yes.
don't have.
Thank you.
Clapping songs. Big up
Right.
Shanice.
Yes, thank you.
Masters.
Thank you. I still got more work to do. More work. I have one more degree that I need to get.
Well, you're going to move towards getting your PhD?
Not quite my PhD. I think I'm just gonna get my specialist. I'm that dissertation is just I don't know about that dissertation.
Hmm.
So
Well,
I just
listen, all I can say to you is go for it, man. Whatever you can achieve, whatever you can accomplish, go ahead and get it. I often tell people, enjoy the life, make use of every opportunity. The waves of opportunity may not come all the time. And once you've missed one, you can't catch up again. It keeps moving on. I'm going on, undulatingly, if I may use that expression. And so once it comes by, you better catch it. Catch the
right.
wave or you lose out. So do the best that you can, Shanice. All right. Um, Another thing I wanted to share with us before we get into the other, of course, we have the two hot button items coming up, but before we get to that, I wanted to just ask if you guys have been paying attention to what's going on nationally, what's going on regionally, because a lot of things are happening, not just on the national level, but on the regional level, and even locally here in the Virgin Islands, we have a lot of things going on. And so I want us to, for those of us who have been paying attention, those of us who are cognizant of what's going on, I want us to get into some discussion relative to that. But before we go there, I want to focus on what's happening in Europe, in parts of Africa, between Arab nations, between the United States and Venezuela, between Venezuela and Guyana. United Arab Emirates just recently had a moment of tension with Saudi Arabia. The war between Ukraine and Russia continues, and we have the President of the United States taking up certain positions, making certain decisions. And when I speak to people out there, I get a little perplexed in that I don't think many of us understand the dynamic of how the United States operate vis-a-vis other nations. And recently there was a meeting of the G20, which was boycotted, I understand, by the United States of America, and much to a backlash coming up against America. But I just wanted to share something with all of us, because we talk history sometimes, and we may get into that tonight, where we speak about the laws that require us to teach Virgin Islands history and Caribbean history. And I often tell people you cannot teach Virgin Islands history, Caribbean history, without connecting that to American history and to African history and civilization. We may get there, but let me just share this with us very quickly, because I perceive that many of us do not fully comprehend how should I put it, the United States government actually operates. And I wanted to get into a few things here this evening. Let's see if I can get that. Whilst I'm trying to get to that page, any of you, well, let me just go ahead and I got it. The position of commander in chief. Let me just read this very quickly. Over the years, presidents have exercised more authority in their role as commander in chief than in any other facet of the job. It's without question the most important responsibility of the office. As Commander-in-Chief, the President has the ability to commit American troops to battle. I want to repeat that. As Commander-in-Chief, the President has the ability to commit American troops to battle. It is the most difficult decision a president can make and is always handled with great care and reflection. Declaration of war or declaring war. The framers of the Constitution were careful not to vest too much military power in the presidency for fear of creating an abusive and unjust government or even a military dictatorship. Therefore, the Constitution gives the Congress the authority to declare war, raise an army, and fund wars, while it gives the president the power to manage and execute military action. The framers did not want the president to have the ability to both declare and execute wars without congressional involvement. And of course, this goes on to speak about presidents who respected that what was done during World War I in terms of presidential restraint, what was done during the Korean War, and even the Vietnam. It goes on to give you a whole list of what different presidents did. But I want to come to the last part of what I want to share with you. Military commander, the president as military commander. As part of his commander-in-chief function, the president is in charge of the armed forces. He is the first general and admiral. Presidents have approached the military commander function differently, depending on their background. Some have taken a more hands-on approach, while others have left all the decision-making up to their generals. In 1794, George Washington nearly took charge of the militia that put down the Whiskey Rebellion. During the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln was deeply involved in strategy, troop movements, and battle plans. On occasion, even gave direct orders to his field generals. President Woodrow Wilson left the battlefield strategy to the military during World War I, as did President Franklin Roosevelt for the most part in World War II. Lyndon Johnson was famous for selecting specific bombing targets in Vietnam. In the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, both George W. Bush and Barack Obama have largely left military tactics to their generals. And I shared that with us people, particularly in light of what is happening in the Caribbean today and divergent views I've heard people express in terms of, what our current president is doing that is not seen in a favorable light, as opposed to what is seen in a favorable light, and where some folks feel that the Congress is abdicating responsibility and relinquishing too much power to the president. That's why I decided to read this here this evening before we get into further discussions. Any reactions before we move on? I thought I saw Anuma join us. He stepped out. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, anyway, I guess he's going to step back
he-
inside. He must have had to step out for some reason. All right. Having said that, let me just get into the meat of some things we want to discuss. I don't know how many of you, again, like I said earlier on, have been paying attention to what's trending, what has been happening. I want to mention a couple of things. We had the Netflix, how you call it? Documentary concerning Didi. I would like to get your take on that. We also had a situation where the director of Netflix was found guilty of fraudulent activity. And here in the territory, we had two top individuals, a former commissioner and a former director, former commissioner of public safety, former director of OMB, having been found guilty of several charges relating to public corruption. I want to hear what's your take on that. And then I also want us not to forget that we've had a couple of youngsters who the accusation is that they've been molested by persons who are in charge in the school system, children who are molested by persons of authority. I'd like to get your take on that. And let's leave it at that for now, and let me get some reactions from you guys.
Too much.
Let me hear that.
I said that is a lot going on. Too much. Where do you?
All right, let's start off with the Didi documentary. what's your take on that, folks, and the role that 50 Cent plays in all of that?
Well, I think he's actually doing a great job. I'm not defending the man himself, but the documentary itself is evidence.
Mhm.
It's pure facts.
Hmm.
He's an awful person who should have spent life in prison.
Okay.
And the people who try to defend or justify him, they need to really look in the mirror and understand. A lot of us say, hold your friends and your family accountable.
Hmm.
Hold your celebrities accountable. Hold your idols accountable. Just we all fall short at some point.
Hmm.
But when they fall short, hold them accountable.
Hmm.
Simple.
Okay. And that's in terms of Diddy, the main character.
That's in terms of Diddy and anyone who is also guilty.
Okay, but I don't hear people saying much about those who may be implicated. All the focus seems to be on Diddy
For now,
for now.
you know how that works. Look at the current politicians. People are coming down.
Hmm. I hear that. Shanice, what's your take?
I agree. Let's hold everyone accountable for their actions, regardless of their status, regardless of their power, how much money they have. I think Diddy should just be the beginning. I don't know if you guys seen the photos that have been released today with President Trump and Einstein. So we can get this show on the road. Let's hold everybody accountable for doing things that they're not supposed to do. Let's not let money stop, stop the investigation. Let's
Mhm.
right is right and wrong is wrong.
All right, I hear that. And I'm going to have a little input on that shortly, but let me hear what you have to say, Mandy, if anything.
I do not follow none of the two. I don't care for 50 Cent. I don't follow Diddy, and that's their business.
Uh-huh.
I don't care. Whatever happened, happened. I'm not into rap
All right.
rules.
All right. Let me just say this well. I'm not into rap music neither. I don't particularly care for rap music. I think rap music has an element that tends to lead black brothers and sisters in particular astray. That's my take on rap music. I don't know if you all agree with me on that.
I love rap music. It hasn't led me astray at all. No criminal record.
Mhm.
Never raised my hand to a young lady. Never took advantage of anybody. I'm pretty good. Maybe you'll win though, child. But I'm joking. I'm joking.
So now, hold on. Okay, and I hear what you say. But when you look at, let's try and connect some dots here. Notorious
B.I.G.
B.I.G., Tupac,
Biggie Small.
Biggie Small,
Yeah.
isn't he the same as
Notorious B.I.G. is
Yeah.
Biggie Small.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was wondering.
All right.
I never knew that.
Nipsey?
Hustle.
Right.
Okay, wait. That's my guy.
You know Nipsey?
Now, I'm gonna take some
I
raise the roof for Nipsey. Nipsey, even though people will put him to like thuggish behavior and stuff like that, he
Mhm.
has some really good points. He used to read like he had a great book list and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna give it to Nipsey. He was a businessman doing his thing, but
Mhm.
they
And
took him out.
I'm not impugning his character. My thing is the trail of violence that is woven through rap culture, if I may. That's my concern. Just recently, what's the guy who's under investigation, DVD or something like that?
Oh, David. But
David,
David is not necessary. I don't think he's
He's
a
special.
rapper. I think
he's what?
He's a special case. He's next level.
Uh-huh.
He's not
the
mentally
songs that
okay.
he
You
sings.
listen to his music, he's not mentally
Yeah,
okay.
he.
Mhm.
It was every red flag in the book.
Mhm.
So
I
I
can't
just
believe.
hope
But
that
is that an excuse?
it's not an excuse, but I don't even call his music. His music wasn't even really rap.
Yeah,
It was.
he's not classified as
Okay.
a rapper.
Okay.
Like more of a
What about
singer.
what's his name, Melly? The one.
Oh, YNW.
You are correct in your statement. Like I'm not taking anything away from what you said.
Uh-huh.
Rap music, it sorry to say it, but it's from a very I don't think it started off like that, but
Uh-huh.
it evolved into something that's very dark.
Okay, and that's my concern there. And then, as you mentioned, I'm evolving into something very dark. I'm reading little bits and pieces here and there where folks are saying that it even involves pacts with
The devil.
demons.
Yeah, you're gonna talk about Playboy Cardi.
Uh-huh.
Oh, if you knew who Playboy Cardi was, you would understand. He openly,
Oh wow.
yeah, and he has a very large following.
All right.
I wouldn't say I'm a follower, but I mean I like some of his music.
Mm-hmm.
So what your opinion is accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say this: my nieces and nephews cannot listen to rap music at all, because they're easily influenced and children are sponges,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't know how to really separate the two.
Mm-hmm.
So again, rap music has a lot of influence, and if you really listen to it, let's be honest, what did they talk about? Degrading women, calling black men out of their names,
Mm-hmm.
obviously using that word, and how they could end somebody and steal this, and I don't cook, I don't clean, I just bend over and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
when you look at those type of things, yeah, the influence is strong, and look at where it's taken us. So you're actually accurate,
Mm-hmm.
and people shouldn't try to defend try to say you're not.
Mm-hmm.
I can still listen to it though,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm old enough and I can separate the 2.
Mm-hmm.
But not everybody can do that. It's kind of like video games, shooting games.
Mm-hmm.
Some children have done violent crimes because of video games.
Mm-hmm.
There's been situations where parents were ended because of this.
Mm-hmm.
So I played Call of Duty. I've never even had these thoughts go through my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like person to person.
Mm-hmm.
But sadly to say, as the generations continue to come into this world, you have children raising children. So the mental maturity
Mm-hmm.
is not the same anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We're reactive, not proactive.
Mm-hmm.
Not all rap music is bad, Some rappers tell a story like poetry.
Mm-hmm.
Tupac was one of them. Certain of his songs, Dear Mama, that was a very good uplifting
Mm-hmm.
song. And I think, which was the other one? Was it something about Brenda or something? Some of them tell a story. Some of them explain what they came from
Mm-hmm.
and what they are now. So
Mhm.
I'm not gonna knock all of it, but the ones with the shaky booty and all that,
Mm-hmm.
cut. Turn the mics off.
Shanice, you want to jump in there?
So like all of you, I do agree. Rap is a form of storytelling, just like any music. All music tells a story.
Uh-huh.
Um, Now, because I will say that rap is mostly created by people who look like me, you know, black people, African Americans. The story is not always the story that everyone wants to hear or what we consider appropriate for young minds. But at the end of the day, it is their reality. It is a form of storytelling that a lot of people do relate to. Now, just like movies, there are PG-13 movies, there are rated R
Mm-hmm.
movies. As a parent, it is your responsibility to take control of what kind of music or what anything that your child is exposed to. And it's your job to teach them right from wrong. Now, just because they hear a lyric, that doesn't mean that they need to act on that lyric or they need to change their character to become what the lyrics and the music are saying. So I feel like that can change. It depends on how you teach your children and what you allow them to be exposed to. But at the end of the day, rap is just a form of storytelling, whether it's explicit or not. I mean,
Let me
we
just say
all.
that there was a time during the process of our development as a people, as a society, as a separate civilization, if I may. There were lots of controls imposed here and there. I just read recently where in Australia, the government of Australia has decided not to allow any child 15 and under to have social media accounts. That's how drastic Australia has decided to move. And and you already have a couple of the social media platforms beginning to dismantle, if I may, to shut down accounts held by persons under the age of 15. Now, I heard one individual say that, well, it doesn't make any sense because there are ways of getting around that. And that may be the case, that some persons will be able to get around it and still have accounts. But I think it's a wise, prudent step being taken by the government of Australia to begin to put a ban on children 15 and under having such social media accounts. Now, some folks will say, hey, you got young persons making a lot of money from that, and now you're actually stopping a source of income going to them, and that's something to be considered. But when you think in terms of the potential negative impact of what you encounter on different social media platforms, I think the decision being taken by the Australian government is a responsible one. Just about every time I go on TikTok, on Facebook, the reels that I come across, about 75% of the reels seem to promote some kind of sexuality, and not even sexuality that is uplifting to our people, but something which is degrading. I don't know if I am the only one seeing that side of it. And I'm saying our young people deserve some kind of measure of support, empowerment, so they don't fall through the cracks when it comes to that.
That's not the way America works.
That's not the way America works.
America does not care about our children. That's the first thing we need to accept. America is a business. Sex sells.
Mm-hmm.
And sex is very influential, especially amongst these puberty-driven young people coming up. So naturally, if I shake my booty, not me, but naturally, a couple of ones will be like, "Oh, let me shake it," and I watch it. Even I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to say anything against even the culture here.
Uh-huh.
But go to Carnival. Go to certain Juve, go to these events. We can't talk about just, social media. We do it here as well. The influence is strong here. I've seen little girls showing back in Juve, those 4-year-olds and everybody like, yes, yes, yes. It's all fun and games. And again, I'm not trying to come at anybody with my statement, but I'm just speaking a reality. Nobody should be offended if it shouldn't bother them. They think it's okay. But we know, truth be told, it's not okay. But they're only imitating what they see their parents do. So the young lady actually made such a good point when she mentioned the thing about rap and having the age limit. I never actually had that viewpoint shared, and that's actually a really good viewpoint, actually, because 18 rated R movies, they should not get rid of them. I like some of those. So, I want to watch a good horror movie every now and then, so I want to listen to a certain song every now and then. But how do you really protect the children in America? That's near impossible. Like, you as a parent would have to have a super structured home. That's why the 2-parent household is so important. For one parent to be able to do that and really like have a high success rate, it's hard for 2. For one, it's near impossible. So I don't really have an answer. I just feel like it's something that we should discuss more, like we're doing over dialogue, open dialogue.
Is there a day of reckoning?
Of course.
So how do we prepare our people against that day of reckoning?
We pray. I'm going to be honest. Like, we pray. We keep the dialogue open. And maybe one day, I like to look at it like this. Things are eventually going to get so difficult that we're going to hold one head. It's kind of like, look at Donald Trump, right? He's doing all of this. Like, more and more people are coming together. Now, take note, I didn't want him over the next person, but I only want him over the next person because I don't believe a man can become a woman. Never going to believe it, and that's my firm stance. I don't do delusion, and if you can't answer me what a woman is, I will never give you my vote, and I will take whatever the next way is coming. But it's also going to bring us closer together against one common enemy. And when they reaches there, we're going to hold one head. Look at slavery. Black people held one head. The family stayed together more than anything. Our marriage rate was heavy, higher than the Caucasians.
It was.
Yeah, exactly. But we had a common enemy. So Black people didn't see us getting battered and bruised and taken advantage of, and we put a hand out to our Black brother, help them up off the cliff, and we know we're all we have. But now that we're where we are today, it's like we forgot that who's our common enemy now. It's like we're our enemy. We talk about Caucasians every now and then, but they're no longer the enemy. They're no longer the enemy, but before they were. But who's our common enemy now? Like, who's our enemy? You see where I'm coming from? It's like because we don't have a common enemy no more, we don't stand together. So now we're just all over the place. And now we just continue to attack each other.
Well, let me say this here to you and those who are viewing and those who are listening. Someone once told me, in a group of people who look like me, the person said, I have seen the enemy, and the enemy is us.
Beautiful.
Okay? And hear me out on this. There is a saying that those who forget the past, they are condemned to repeat the past. I can give you a litany of expressions I got from grandparents and parents when I was growing up. And I don't want anybody thinking that I am goody goody two shoes. That's not what I'm trying to project here. I'm just simply reflecting on lessons that were taught to me. I was taught that, and it's a Creole saying, if your friend's bed is on fire, wet yours. In other words, if your neighbor's house catches a fire, get some water and throw on your house, because you may be next. I have been told that before I criticize somebody, check myself. All of these were fine principles instilled in me. I don't always do it, but as a rule, I am very particular in terms of how I condemn people. And I'm going to share this with you guys. I was involved in a brotherhood, sisterhood meeting. We were having open discussion. And that meeting involved persons who shared certain spiritual beliefs. And the talk centered around the biblical teaching to keep the Sabbath. And the Sabbath was being prominently pushed upon everybody in that group. And I made the statement, I said, listen, guys, there are more important things than just the Sabbath. We have to be concerned about the well-being of other persons around us, our neighbors. How are they faring? Are we making sure that they're being taken care of and they're well off? That they're safe, they're secure, that their needs are being met? Should we put the keeping of a Sabbath ahead of extending a helping hand to somebody who is in distress simply because it is a Sabbath that we don't want to violate? Have we considered that when we're trying to impose Sabbath keeping, that we have power being generated by persons who are out there working? We have services being rendered at hospitals by individuals who are employed at the hospital. So if everybody decided to just shut down in our civilization as we have it today and say, well, I'm doing nothing because I'm keeping Sabbath, think of how many persons will be impacted negatively because of such action. And then I made a point. I said that I had worked with an individual who, for all practical purposes, was law-abiding. And that person would make sure that he's on the job on time. He says he crosses every T, dots every I. But there was a dirty little secret that he had until he was discovered, and he was at the time spending time in jail, having been sentenced for 20 years. And a brother in the group got up and said, nobody's going to tell this man what needs to be said to him. He told me, he said, brother, get out. We don't need you in this group. Get out. I politely, obediently got up and I walked out. Only one person followed me and said, don't let this brother drive you out. Come back to the group. I said, no. All the senior members in there sat there and said nothing. I went about my business. Sadly, the very brother who asked me to get out and said to me, the door is open, get out, he ended up in a real serious predicament that reflected the reason why he took the position that he took on that day. So I'm saying to you guys that I try to teach, not because I think I'm better, but because I have encountered truth. I have seen light, and I try to share with others. So I don't want anybody thinking that, I am above board because I present things. No, I am more concerned about the young people growing up than those in my age group and beyond. I've done my time. I have a responsibility to look out for the younger ones and to help them not make the mistakes that I have made, to try and leave them with sound instruction. And so when I look at what we're going through right now, nationally, regionally, the situation with charges of corruption, when I don't gloat over people who find themselves in such predicament. I don't. I'm going to tell it like it is. They've done wrong. And they need to suffer the consequences. But I'm reminded of one thing. That I must have a willingness and an ability to say that I forgive, even though I do not forget. I may not forget, but I will forgive if I can. It's not easy forgiving sometimes, but I do my best to forgive.
For me, it's easy. I forgive. I don't forgive for them, though. I forgive for me.
It's easy to forgive.
Yeah, very easy.
How easy it is to forgive the person who has brutally raped your daughter.
Well, now you went to an extreme. like that's a whole extreme. Okay, if you come to that extreme, I'm not gonna forgive you. I'm not gonna be honest. I don't have any children.
I'm being called upon to forgive.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to pray a lot.
It's a difficult one.
And pray.
Okay. And yet I know of this fine-looking lady, young woman, got into an accident because of a drunk driver, became disfigured. She had to cover her face when she went into public. She looked like a monster, from being like a beauty queen to becoming a monster overnight because of an accident. And you know what? She went to the prison to visit the young man. And she said, I forgive you.
Wow.
You know.
Her faith must have been strong.
All right. Shanice, let me hear you.
All right, so I want to bring up a point that you stated earlier when you said if your neighbor house is on fire, what's yours so the fire doesn't get to you, right? Well, I kind of thought about that and I said, well, if my neighbor house is on fire, I would help them put out the fire so it doesn't get to my house. So
that's absolutely noble of you to do so. But again, the context within which this teaching is presented is to simply remind us that as human beings, it is said to err is human. And we may make mistakes, so be careful how we judge. That's all.
right. And then I was just saying that can be applied to different things because we were talking about how some people are just they're only caring about themselves, that whole crabs in a barrel thing. And it would be different if we helped each other out so that we can, achieve more together as a people instead of having that mentality where, I have to get it myself. I worry about me and you worry about you, which is, goes back to slavery times is the reason why we're this way. And even in this day and age, we all want to be accepted, especially in the workplace. So you're going to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do because nobody is going to have your back at work the way that you have. So if that means throwing someone under the bus, then that's what happens a lot of times. So, we want to help each other out, but unfortunately we are put in situations a lot of times where, you just have to fend for yourself. Cover your, what's that saying they have, CYA? Cover your A. Because a lot of times we don't, as much as you want to help the next person and you have a heart to help the next person, a lot of times it puts you in a situation or a predicament that you don't want to be in, and if that person was in your shoes they wouldn't do the same thing.
All right, before we segue into what we have to discuss as hot items, and again I just want to say that in my position, I have a responsibility to teach, and I try to do that. We have a situation. Let me just share with you guys in here and those of you in and listening. We've had a pretty long history of members of our community finding themselves in predicaments that bring severe consequences. We've had successive governments going back to 1992, I think, where we've had heads of government charged there in the Virgin Islands. people in key positions in government being charged with fraudulent activity. It's not just the recent ones that we're hearing about. This has been going on for a while. A couple of governors who found themselves in predicaments where they were charged. Senators, not just one, several senators. This is not the first time that heads of departments have been charged with criminal activity, whether it is from Department of Property and Procurement, from natural resources, different across the spectrum. We've had charges being laid against government officials. And my question is, to what extent have we taken the time to let our people understand the seriousness of those charges, the consequences that people have to go through, and why we should resolve to pull ourselves away from that? That does not reflect the kind of integrity that our predecessors, our ancestors seem to have displayed. And I think we have failed to strike, to hit the consciousness of our people so that they can understand that they've been going down that slippery slope and they need to check themselves. I think we've failed to do that. And we need to move so that the younger ones coming up do not continue the pattern, if I may. Let me hear you.
Nepotism
Mm-hmm.
is one of my favorite words
Mm-hmm.
now, because I finally realized leadership, what leadership does is it puts people in positions, it puts people who they can control in top level positions.
Mm-hmm.
And that dwindles down. That's how come we know in the BI, we always say it's not what you know, it's who you know. We all know this.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as I keep the people I need fed,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to remain silent and they're going to have my back. So regardless of all the suffering going on,
Mm-hmm.
what can change at that point? Because your friend is eating and they might be throwing you a bone every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
So in the Virgin Islands, that's why you said it a little while ago. You said, who's our greatest enemy? We were talking about that. You said, we are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, people that be like, oh, the white people are coming in and they're doing this and they're doing that. Who's allowing them? I'm not kidding. I have nothing against white people, because at the end of the day, a lot of them actually look out for us as well. We need to also acknowledge that slavery wasn't just abolished because of black people. There was some white people who was like, huh?
True.
So to me, at this point in 2025, soon to be 26, hate, corruption doesn't have a skin color.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's something darker than that.
Mm-hmm.
So in the VI, most of our politicians black, all of our senators black, and they all seem to be holding one head so far. I'm not gonna call names because some of them I'm kind of liking. I'm kind of waiting to see what they kind of do. Frankie Johnson surprised me when he talked about more indictments coming out, so I got to give him some props to that one. But we're gonna see what else kind of takes place. Just because you do one right thing doesn't mean I'm going to just overlook anything else. When you do something wrong, I'm always gonna call it out as well. But yeah, they're too silent. This indictment should have had all the senators and even the governor, addressing it. Because more of them to come. But I think a lot of them right now are scared. Because they're finally realizing for things to change in the VI, the federal government have to come in. People don't like to hear, but I don't feel we can be trusted to lead and govern ourselves, because the people in leadership will never allow the genuine-hearted people who are not corrupt to ever get in any position of power. You cannot speak openly and call out these things, and they will ever give you the opportunity to get in the position of power. Ever.
So are you of the position that our people are not ready to have an independent territory being led and being governed by themselves?
Obviously not, considering without the federal dollar we would crumble right now. Currently.
Okay, I understand in terms of the federal largesse, the support that we get from the federal government, but I think we have people here in the territory who have a sense of integrity, who have been prepared academically, intellectually to lead. The problem is that most of them do not want to get involved in the political affairs of the territory because of what they've seen out there, the very allegations of corruption, the way how politicians tend to have a sense of entitlement and want to speak down at people, belittle people, and they don't want to get involved in these things. They're just of a different cut, if I may. But we do have people who have the intellectual wherewithal to lead this territory as an independent territory. In terms of resources that we don't have, the most important resource any country can have is its people and its land. Most important resources, which is God given. And so if you have people who have the intellectual capital, who have the sense of wisdom, and know how to manage those resources, we can be successful. There is no truly independent political entity in the world today. This idea that some have it all and others don't, that doesn't wash today. We all must come together, appreciate the needs, the desires, and the resources of each other, and see how we can pool resources for the betterment of not just some, but all. And I think we have that kind of leadership here in the territory. It's just it has not been revealed. It's not stepping up to the plate, and perhaps we need to find ways and means of drawing that out so that we can really bring people who have a sense of integrity, people who understand how to address the needs of the populace. Get them on the plate, and we can do that.
And follow up and answer that, I did make it very clear that we do have some very genuine-hearted, kind-hearted people who probably won't easily be corrupted. They could probably step up to the plate, but the people in power is never going to let that happen. Because if I can't control you, you are not going to get in that position. And that's simply why I was saying that it's going to reach a point where the federal government is going to have to step in to get those people out of power. Like,
are you talking about a takeover?
Maybe not a full takeover, but look, every time WAPA tries to get audited, the governors seem to want to always veto that immediately. I wonder why.
The legislature can stop that.
Yeah, but
the legislature has the power to override the governor's veto. And the reality is that, WAPA was created by the legislature. And the legislature can step in and take control. WAPA needs to be audited. WAPA needs to be held accountable. But if senators keep deferring to the governor, it's not going to happen.
The people in power behind closed doors hold one head. That's the whole point. See, they could make this whole little show out to the public, making it seem, but at the end of the day, we don't have multiple parties here. I'm not saying even the parties don't hold one head behind closed doors, but they're just making a scene for us while they continue to get paid, get their big houses. And then after they secure themselves, their family, they come out of the office, and, they did a couple bills, felt like they did something. And then it just, and the cycle continues. Like, why is it not changing?
Okay. And I hear you, and I hear those persons out there who are screaming holy hell to do something about WAPA. And what I have to say is that, listen, WAPA is indebted to the tune of $1 billion right now. We had a situation, and with all of the federal dollars being poured into WAPA, we're still having all of the troubles we have with WAPA today. In spite of all the solar farms that are going up, we're still having the problems that we have today with WAPA. And then when you're going to tell me that the government, the central government, the executive branch, can just tap into general funds and take some $49 million and give to WAPA without legislative approval, and the legislature brings it up, but there is no action to bring about consequences or to correct the wrong that has been done.
Holding one head.
Well, people power must be exercised to stop it. I want us to move to our, Shanice, you have anything to say before we move to our first hot button item? And we'll come back to these little fires that we've been dealing with, But let's go to the first scenario. Scenario number 1. Julius and Natasha have been going steady for approximately 3 years. When Natasha bought her 2023 BMW, Julius promised to help with the notes, which he did until recently when he lost his cushy job at a downtown law firm. Julius is now suggesting that Natasha sells or turns her BM over to the bank and the two of them will share his 2018 Buick Escalade. Natasha is fiercely independent and definitely not in agreement. She revealed to her mom that she has a secret admirer who is willing to pick up some slack, and alternatively, she thinks she might be able to do a side hustle at the building supply store where she works as a cashier. Her mom thinks that she is being a little unreasonable and perhaps heading down a slippery slope. Natasha disagrees. She sees her ride as an important status symbol and thinks that depriving herself of such an asset would also take away a competitive edge that she now commands among her circle of friends and associates. Some questions for consideration. What are some red flags, if any, in this scenario? Two, do you think that Julius is selfish or unreasonable by suggesting that Natasha should sell or turn in the BMW? Three, what could have been a better suggestion to deal with this situation, which obviously presents some measure of inconvenience to Natasha? Four, what are some potentially negative consequences that may result from the choices being contemplated by Natasha? Who wants to go first?
First red flag, the secret admirer helping with payments. You know how life goes. Payment for payment. It's like you enter in a contract.
Mhm.
So that's the number one red flag for me. Getting help, and you don't know what could go wrong in the help.
Mhm. Well,
So the
is the
secret
secret
admirer just helping for nothing?
is the secret admirer male or female? You don't
Then
know.
say,
So if it was a female, does that make a difference?
make a difference.
Oh, all right. She says that if the secret admirer is a female, it makes a difference. I don't know. You know, admirers can be aggressive whether they be male or female.
Not in 2025. It male,
Hmm.
female, no matter.
Hmm.
I
Well, let
will
me
say
hear you
that they're both wrong. Okay, Natasha is wrong and the boyfriend is wrong. What was his name? Derek.
Julia, Julia.
Yes, Derek is wrong as well because he can't expect her to just give up this new life of luxury that she has found. But also, Natasha needs to humble herself and realize that things are no longer going to be the same. She could trade in her BMW and get another nice car that's a little bit less expensive. But at the same time, the boyfriend needs to go ahead and start to try to get a new job, even if he has to be a cashier at Walmart. I mean, he has to get a you know, he can't just expect her to give up the lifestyle she's been living. But at the same time, they're not married. They're boyfriend and girlfriend. So may the best man win for Natasha, I guess.
Let me hear you, my brother.
I was on board right up until it said you can't give up her lifestyle like that luxury. The young lady I'm currently courting, I asked her, I said, could you still love me if I lose everything and build back with me from scratch? She said yes. I believe in love. By hearing their story and having the fact that she's unwilling to give up her luxury for love, that's not a wife. And that's not his wife.
Mhm.
She's a wife that can be bought.
Mhm.
And any young lady who seems to follow that trail has to be very cautious
Mhm.
because there's certain men who will gladly provide that lifestyle,
Mhm.
but they're never going to love you, which is why I'm noticing in society currently why it's going the way it's going. People are too easily bought. If you can't love somebody in a one-bedroom house, build your family and build from scratch,
Mhm.
you don't deserve them when they're at their highest point. That's just my feeling.
Mhm.
I respect anybody else's choice. That's just me.
Mhm. Let me just say here that
I was gonna say, I
go
feel
ahead,
like
finish
the answer that you gave sounds very nice, but I have a feeling you haven't been in a real relationship because love is important, yes, but love does not pay bills in the real world. When
Uh-huh.
love, yes, you can hold on to that, but at the same time, you have to have more than just love. Because at the end of the day, sometimes sometimes you hate the person that you're with. Y'all may be having a hard time, and for whatever reason that is, and then here comes somebody who can't afford to help you pay the bill. On top of you not liking them at this moment.
Mhm.
That's where God
So
that's where God comes in.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people forget that aspect.
Mhm.
Like people don't pray together anymore.
Mhm.
People don't look at the deeper bond that you're trying to create
Mhm.
and the union you're trying to form.
Mhm.
For me, yes, maybe I'm a little delusional, and I finally firmly accepted the viewpoints a lot of people have on my outlook. But again, I've never cheated on any young lady. I've never raised my hand, and I've loved every last one of them. And not a single one of them had to pay for anything while with me. But some of them got to ride in my no AC vehicle.
Mhm.
Now, they didn't. Some of them didn't value that, but the ones that did, I always thought in the back of my head, when I have, they will have everything. And the ones who didn't, I knew were temporary.
All right. Let me just say this here, folks. Wherever we are today, doesn't matter where we have been, but I'm saying wherever we are today, we need to pause for a while and look at the boundaries of relationships, especially relationships that lead towards intimacy. Marriage is a covenant arrangement which calls for give and take. That's why when people get married, it is said for better or for worse. You know, you don't get into a relationship and simply because it gets hot in the kitchen, you're out. You've got to find ways and means of cooling down the temperature so that it becomes mutually comfortable for the two of you. Um, the idea that Natasha would look towards just her independence and her status symbol shows a measure of selfishness and a lack of willingness to make sacrifices. There is a saying that if there is no pain, there is no gain. And it is only through sacrifice we can appreciate redemptive value. And so I think Natasha is definitely, as the mother puts it, going down a slippery slope. To even begin to think right now that, oh, I can get a hookup with a secret admirer. The question is how far that hookup may go, what is going to lead you to. Has she given any thought to that? When she speaks about the possibility of a side hustle at the place where she works, let's think about that. A building supply space, contractors coming in there, what are you going to do? Give them some goods on the side and you're collecting on the other end? What kind of hustle you're thinking of getting into?
The best hustle known to man.
All right. So I'm saying when we look at all of that, she's definitely going down a slippery slope. The young man in question, when he suggests that his Buick be used, let's face it, the BM, how should I put it? It requires a monthly note being paid. Once she turns it over to the bank or she sells it, that note is now canceled. It is settled. With the Escalade, obviously, the payments have been met, it's paid in full, and so that takes away a debt burden from the two of them.
She gonna keep harassing him to be dropped here.
That shouldn't be a problem.
There is one point, right, that she made that was valid. He's wrong as well because he committed to helping her those payments as a man. I would have told her no immediately, and I would have knew she was out of my realm of what I wanted. I don't shame her for having her standards, and I'm sorry if it came off that way in any way. But they were dating outside of each other's standards clearly, and that should have been communicated. And he should have stepped down as a man and said, "I need somebody who's a little bit more in my wavelength." The same way, they need to just get out of that with each other. But
Mhm.
I don't know how it was originally formed because you said 3 years prior.
Mhm.
So maybe feelings changed as time went on, and they both met each other in a different time, and then again they evolved.
Mhm.
But based on the current story, he should have never committed to that, and he should have left and left her to find somebody who's willing to meet her needs.
Mhm. Hmm. All right. Let me ask you guys something here. Based on all what we've said about the situation with these two individuals, I want to ask you, when you're looking at getting into a relationship, I want to give you a few items here and tell me in terms of order of priority, which would you put as number one? Religious, spiritual beliefs, personality, circle of friends, academic achievement, social status, looks. I want to read that again. Religious or spiritual beliefs, personality, circle of friends, academic achievement, social status, looks. What would be the number one element that you're looking for in, or characteristic you're looking at in a person you're trying to get into an intimate relationship with?
That's a very unfair question. That is a wow. That's a I know the one I'm gonna pick naturally if I'm going long term. This is like for marriage, not just a hookup.
No, marriage.
So if it was a hookup, we're going with looks.
Uh-huh.
But if it's marriage, spirituality. Because but again, how deep are you going into that? Because it's like, is she tied to their like following the principles? She's following the principles.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, spirituality, because I want to know if she has a strong set of principles.
Okay, Shanice. We seem to have lost Shanice for a while. Mandy, let me hear you.
I need somebody who's God fearing, because if I don't start it off with God, looks ain't gonna even help me.
Exactly.
Okay, because been there, done that, and right now, my mindset, we got stuff with God.
Well, I'm gonna tell you guys.
Amen.
I want to tell you guys something. I am sorry. Looks number one for me. Looks number one.
I mean,
You got listen. You got to have it. You got to have some looks. You got to have the shape. I am not going. You will tell me. No offense is meant at anyone, but I'm going to tell you something. If you look like a boombox, if you look like a boombox, if you look like a barrel, you got a problem with it. I'm telling you straight up.
Why those comparison boombox and barrel?
Because I go for looks. I'm telling you, first thing in my book, I am going for looks.
Take note, I did say if it's for a hookup, I was going straight for looks. But if I'm trying to get some long-term investment, you're going to make sure I'm good at everything. Now I'm going for your God-fearing, to know that you have a strong set of principles. That's why I made sure to clarify that one.
Okay. I'll go for looks first. Afterwards, I'm going to come down to the aspect of not even personality. I'm going at the religious, spiritual aspect of it.
Oh yeah.
Where your mind is at in terms of spirituality, you know. But I'm not gonna lie. Looks have to be number one, and then I come to the rest.
So no barrel, no boombox.
Yeah, and the third thing for me is your circle of friends.
Oh.
I gotta know what kind of company you're keeping.
Oh.
You know, because show me your friends, I'll tell you who you are.
And if you're God-fearing, your personality, and you're following the principles, your personality is already tied into that already.
That's correct.
So that's a smart one.
That's correct. You know, so yeah, Shanice. As I mentioned, with me, number one, looks. Number two would be your faith, your spirituality. You know, because I gotta know, you know, how you think in terms of how you look at life, what life means to you, etc. And then the third thing is your circle of friends. I gotta know who you're keeping company with. You know, that's me. Yeah, Shanice, let me hear you.
All right, so first I have personality, because we have to have chemistry before I even talk to you at all about anything. All right, next is religion. Can you hear me? So first personality, then it's religion because you have to believe in God. If you don't believe in God, I can't help you. Then it's looks because I have to be looking at something. I have to be attracted to you in some type of way.
Definitely.
I can't get it up if you're not. I'm just playing.
It's
Then
not
it's
Oh, I agree with you,
status.
Kenny.
I don't get nothing up.
I agree with you.
I don't either, but it's just
we're
uh,
not I'm sorry, we're not gonna be in the bed with orangutan. Like
no, it can't work. It
Now,
depends how much money you have, but hey, that's a different story.
now, here is the thing. Again, like I speak about marriage being a covenant relationship. If I'm into it with you, and then you become disfigured, that's a different thing. There's a sense of commitment. I'm gonna stick to it. If I am into it and you become crippled, I'm gonna stick with you. But I'm saying if I'm just getting into it, I have to look at these factors. Definitely. First, your looks. Secondly, your spirituality. And thirdly, your circle of friends. All right. Let's look at the second item.
Wow.
You wanted to say something before?
No, I just loved all the answers.
Oh.
I like the realness.
Let's go to scenario number 2. Melissa's new boyfriend becomes jealous and upset whenever she spends time with friends. Melissa has caught him several times secretly checking her phone. When confronted, he gets into denial mode and accuses her of being secretive and not trustworthy. Melissa is currently having second thoughts about the relationship and has asked him to surrender the spare keys to her apartment. However, he has not complied. Questions. What are the red flags, if any, in this scenario? 2. Is Melissa hasty in asking for the return of her keys? 3. Should Melissa have a serious talk with her boyfriend, establish some boundaries, and give the relationship some time, or just call it quits? Number 4. What important lessons can be gleaned from this scenario?
Can I answer?
Go ahead.
I'll start with just this. Melissa needs to call the cops. Okay. Call the police. That's out. For what?
Uh-huh.
You won't give her the keys for her apartment?
Uh-huh.
He's already going through her phone. I've never went through a young lady's phone in my life. Never will.
Mm-hmm.
Please. Like, that's not something you do. Like, your trust should already be formed. Trust should already be there. You have to. If you, that's what people do when they don't pick a suitable partner.
Okay.
Where they have that jealousy that's already was probably there from the beginning.
Uh-huh.
It only grew with time, and now I gotta start checking their phone. Now I gotta keep their property, and I'm unwilling to give back their property. No. Call the police, because next thing you know, them hands will come at you faster than you can see them,
Uh-huh.
and then somebody else will call the police.
So you're telling me that my girlfriend, we got into a relationship recently, and I was caught doing something that's not appropriate, and you're gonna ask me for the keys to the apartment that you gave me, and I must give it to you right away without any kind of resistance?
I would.
I still want to be a part of the action.
I don't have time to waste. Now, I'm thinking from my logic, so I guess that's the problem. My logic is this: if somebody doesn't want me, I'm going to leave. I don't deal with situations where I could possibly put my hands on a young lady. So he has a lack of emotional maturity. He's showing me he's very emotionally mature, like a little child, because he's going to the phone like, oh no, you were supposed to end it and say, I love you, thank you for the time shared, but I don't think we're compatible. But he's trying to fight with someone who doesn't clearly want him. That is going to lead to something very dangerous. And look at the consortium. It leads to very dangerous things. I don't ever want to be on there, so I just try to relay the same message to everybody.
So let me ask you something. Your girlfriend's phone is on the table. You're sitting here. The phone is right next to you. She forgot it on the table for some reason. She left it there, and a call comes in, and you see that there is something that looks suspicious. You tell me you can't go in and check and find out what's going on.
No, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I would not check and find out. I'll be open about this. I've been FaceTime in bed with my second relationship. I've had a lot of other things happening, and I've been hurt, But my first thought is to do something, we could get back, but then I'm like, prison's not for me.
Mhm.
So I quickly realized through those painful encounters that the best option is to just walk away. God is giving him a message. God said,
I
hey,
heard. Yeah.
this is a sign.
Mhm.
And you go watch that phone and say,
Mhm.
I'm not done yet.
Mhm.
No, I'm going to say, thank you, God,
Mhm.
like I've done in my own.
Okay, so let me ask you something. Your girlfriend is in the room with you. Her phone rings. She picks up the phone and she doesn't stay here to speak. She goes to the next room, the room on the other side, to have a conversation. And after she has had a conversation, she comes around, she does a few things, she places the phone there, and she walks out. You're telling me you're not tempted to see who the hell was she talking to?
Do I have to share more about my embarrassing moments?
Huh?
I'm laughing because I really I have a lot of shameful stories that most men will laugh at, even
Yeah.
women will laugh at. I've
Uh-huh.
honestly been dogged most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So it brought me to a place of heavy depression, but it didn't, I wouldn't allow it to put me in a state of, taking me to that level because I know what comes after that. And trust me, it normally becomes violence at some points because we're only human. And
Uh-huh.
when we reach our boiling point, we don't know how we react. If I come home and I see my young lady in bed with the next man,
Uh-huh.
I don't know to tell you how I will react. But if I know she's home, possibly home with the next man, I'm not going to that house unless it's my house and I'm going there with the police because I don't know how I will respond.
Mm-hmm.
So to protect myself,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna put myself in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally saying because I know I'm not perfect,
Mm-hmm.
I can't put myself there.
Mm-hmm.
So I would recommend that to any young man or any man in general. Do not put yourself there because
Okay.
we're physically stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And when we reach that point
Uh-huh.
of betrayal, and a woman could cheat. I mean, so a man could cheat on a woman so many times.
Uh-huh.
Women forgive.
Mm-hmm.
Woman cheat on man. He wants to strangle him, call him everything in the book. That never leaves a man. That scars him for life.
Mm-hmm.
So because I understand that, I'm like, yeah, let me not put myself in that situation.
So here is the thing. So we shouldn't blame the guy for wanting to find out what may be going on.
Not at all.
So he has picked up the phone. And if he discovers certain things, then he has a responsibility to himself to make a decision that this is not for me.
Exactly.
Okay. I can understand that.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, you, and all those who are listening and viewing suspicious activity, you taking that phone, going into a next room to answer the phone, man, I need to find out what's going on. Who the hell were you talking to?
If you go through the phone, you better be ready to walk away if you find something that you do not like.
Well,
Okay? That's
I
number
get it.
one. Melissa also needs to get a restraining order and change her lock. Don't worry about him giving back the key.
All right.
Change the
Well,
locks.
again, and you're right, but young ladies need to check themselves. If you know the slate is not all that clean, if you know there are shady things going on, don't give me your keys. Don't give me your keys in the first instance. You're rather quick to ask me for the keys now that you found out I went into your phone. You're so quick. You even give me a couple of weeks so I can cool up from what I have seen, the heat of what I've seen in that phone. You're asking for keys? Come on, man.
I want a true refuse bag at her.
Well, and I can buy that. You find out something that is unsettling, throw her keys at her.
Not in a dangerous way, more like on the ground. Okay, no.
Listen, I will tell you all something. And we discuss these matters here because I see so many things happening in this community in terms of relationships. I'm trying to let people understand that. And let me just say this here, man, I have a lovely marriage. Married for 40 plus years. I would do it over again. No matter that we've been through it's mostly been lovely, beautiful. But there have been some times when things were not all that beautiful. But in spite of that, I would do it over again with her. It's been absolutely wonderful. I couldn't ask the Creator for a better wife than the wife that I have right now. But let me be straight up. I've been in other relationships. I know what I've experienced in other relationships. I know why I walked away. from other relationships. And I'm telling you straight up, anytime you see your partner is being overly secretive, appearing to hide this and hide that and keep this away from, and some of them even go as far as putting a lock on their phones, you know. You realize that? Some of them actually put a lock on the phone. They lock you, they give you a key to the apartment, but they lock you out of the telephone. I mean, come on, man.
Well, I do believe in having locks on your phone, but you just give it to your partner. All my significant ones always has access. I don't have anything to hide. So if I deal with a young lady who like, she just never like gives me access. So one day I'm just like, babe, I can use your phone, and she doesn't tell me the password, and we're recording. I know, I know. I already know. Once a young lady asks me, we're in the car playing music, the phone locks. Hey, she's playing the music. I'm like, oh, there's the passcode. Da, 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 da. Most of them will do that turn like, what? He really gave me the passcode? Yes. And what I had a couple ask me before, why you trust me that much? I said, anything you find in there is long before you. And that's honest. So yeah, people that have nothing to hide, it's naturally going to come up, but you shouldn't ask the person for their passcode. That's just my stance.
Yeah. And let me just say this to all the ladies who are viewing and listening. I want to say that don't think it's only woman doing things and having shenanigans, you know. Man that have all kind of name in the telephone, referring to the side chick and the other woman, you know.
Pizza Hut.
Auntie so and so.
Oh, Pizza Hut.
You know, Auntie. Huh? Pizza Hut.
That's a good
I missed that. Yeah, let me hear that.
Pizza Hut texting you at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Summer Walker told the guy put her in his phone as Pizza Hut.
Oh, you're cut.
My boy's hungry.
Pizza Hut. Once I see, we made it fast. I can't even see well.
Fashion Nova texting me. Hold on, Fashion Nova calling me about my order.
You can't see nothing.
Fashion Nova calling me.
I forget the details, but this guy is downstairs on the phone at about 3 o'clock in the morning, and somebody calls, and the wife comes and she's all jealous, and he says, "What are you wearing? Khakis?" Man, you know, boy, these relationships can be toxic. Well, the best thing is to be upfront, establish the boundaries, let people know exactly what is going on, have nothing to hide. I'm not putting a lock on my phone. My wife has full access to it. I may decide if I have a side chick to call her by some other name. I feel like I gotta get the name of maybe I'm a Psalm 24.
What?
Or Psalm 23.
I don't know how people have multiple. I'm sorry. That's too much work. Like between working your everyday life, staying tied to your faith, and having a woman, it's hard enough not even having a woman.
True.
Like I've never in my life had multiple. I've just never seen the point of it. First off, it's tiring with that one.
Yeah.
I can't imagine multiple, but I just see some men that have multiple and they don't make do. It'd be like they got next level. But then they get old and then they're drowned out and then they have to suffer the consequences of their past actions. And if it doesn't pass on to them, it's going to be on to their children. So we are our greatest nightmare. Sorry.
Well, let me just say this to all of you. No matter how you look at it, I mean, the temptation is always enticing. The grass is always looking greener on the other side. But trust me, given what's out there today, you know, and I spoke to a friend not too long ago, and he tells me about this fine-looking chick, and he's married. Told me about this fine-looking chick that has been kind of hitting on him. And I said to him, well, you better make sure if you go out there in the rain, wear your raincoat. And he tells me, I don't always like to wear a raincoat. And I said to him, man, listen now, it is serious out there. You know, you might end up catching a cold that doesn't want to go away, and that cold is going to kill you. So be careful. You know, yes, she looks pretty. She's looking like an angel dropped out of heaven. But trust me, what you think drops out of heaven might be crawling out of hell. Be careful. I say to all of us, don't risk destroying your relationship. Whether you're married or not, you're in a committed relationship, don't risk destroying it, whether you be the male partner or the female partner. You know, be loyal, be trustworthy, be honest, resist temptation. That's what I want to share with you.
I just want to also say one more thing, because I love to brag about this, and because it's something that most people don't understand. I've never cheated.
Mm-hmm.
Never ever will, never ever have. And I can say these things publicly because any young lady who has ever dealt with me knows that for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them won't speak out against me publicly negatively at all because they were all taken care of and loved. And despite what was done, years later, I was still able to come back and have good friendships with some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly love them. And that's the one thing I really want people to understand. Just because somebody does me wrong, even though in the moment I might have a level of hatred for them, deep down I love them.
Mm-hmm.
I love them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just look at the bad moments. I look at those good times. Those good times,
Mm-hmm.
they they were beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The person just fell to human nature. We all have human weakness,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to accept that. And when I learned to accept that and forgive them,
Mm-hmm.
it was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
They have to live with their consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying I'm perfect in every way, because one of my biggest flaws is I'm very judgmental, people could say, because I speak my mind openly and I'll always tell people how I feel about something.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't sugarcoat much of anything. So that's just my.
I'm glad you brought up this tidbit because I want to say to those out there, if I have an ex-girlfriend out there who listen to me, and when I speak about like my marriage is such a great marriage, I want you to understand that I'm not saying that you are bad. Things fell through the cracks. Things happened, and we didn't stay together. But that doesn't change the fact that the relationship I'm into right now is like one that was made in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Shanice.
I just want to say before we go, don't cheat. It's never good. You're gonna pay for it for the rest of the relationship. And baby, if you're listening, I love you.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah, have a good night.
Okay. Mandy.
Good night, everybody. And if you're out there and you're playing the sneaky link, make sure you wear your raincoat. But don't do it. I don't encourage it at all. I will never encourage it. But people is people, and we all have different ways in life. So to each its own.
All right. I want to thank all those who have shared with us on Facebook and other social media platforms. I believe, are we going to be on next week Friday, Josh?
Yes.
Okay. So next week Friday,
19.
we're going to be on before we take our break for the Christmas going into Three Kings. And I want to say to participants, we're missing two of them this evening, but next week Friday, hopefully after the show, Shanice, I don't know how we're going to get you in on that. I want to have a couple of refreshments, some finger foods with the crew. I don't know. Do they have technology right now so I can just simply send this?
Yeah.
And you
Tell,
download
tell
and
your
you get the.
tell your brother-in-law send me a ticket.
There you go. That's it.
We're getting there, man. Anyway, man, folks, until next time, stay safe, be blessed, give thanks and praises, and we'll reconnect then. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, beautiful.
Here.